Hello, welcome back to Waiver Wire. I'm Money Mike. I'm here with Marco Nunez, former head athletic trainer for the Los Angeles Lakers and owner of Evolve Athletic. Marco, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. Just finishing up the last week of the playoffs and the regular season and getting ready for the playoffs.
Yeah, you know, and it was crazy. We were talking off air that there was a lot of teams with buys, so that's going to affect a lot of playoff positions.
Correct. No, 100%. I mean, this week, if you were like, if it was a must win for you this week, and there's 6 teams on buys, that could have definitely hurt your possibility, your chance of trying to get into the last possible spot for the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. Like we were talking, and one of my teams, I'm completely out of it, but I wanted to be the buster. I was trying to spoil somebody's playoff opportunity, but it's a pay league, and you have to pay for transaction. And I had 4 people on buys, and I said, "Nah, forget it. I'm just gonna go ahead and lose."
Let it out.
Because you know it's bad when your stars are on buy, and then you go look at your subs, and they're on buy too.
Exactly. When you look at the bench, and I think somebody, even if you have your starting quarterback, for example, and then you have your backup quarterback that you picked up because you're ready to go in case you need help, and they're both on buys.
Yeah.
So now you got issues.
Yeah, it's all bad. But let's get into this week's injuries. It was another crazy week. Tyler Huntley of the QB for the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah. So speaking of your backups and having it as a backup quarterback, so Tyler Huntley, quarterback with the Baltimore Ravens, was the QB number 2 for the Ravens. Lamar Jackson went out last week with a knee injury. We'll talk about this as far as on the updates. And Tyler Huntley he did well last week when he came in, and he's actually played well the year before also when he had a sub in for Lamar Jackson. Unfortunately, he also went out with a concussion injury. He's going to be officially in the NFL concussion protocol. Most of the times, it averages between 5 to 7 days. But actually, it's funny about this that I was actually thinking about this. I was looking at some of the reports recently that I think ever since we're going to go back ever since the Tua thing, concussion protocols, how teams approach concussions has completely changed for this year type of thing. So it's kind of interesting because now, like I keep saying, the average time is about 5 to 7 days. But now in reality, most of these concussions are anywhere between minimum 1 week to 2 to 3 weeks. I mean, if you look at Joe Mixon, he had a concussion. He was out for 2 weeks, just came back. Trevor Brooks, which we're going to talk about with the Tennessee Titans, he's also out he missed this week. He had a concussion last week type of thing. So now it's almost become a norm where they're out at least minimum 1 to 2 weeks instead of the old 5-7 days.
And it was supposed to really be on the person. Some people were able to recover faster, others not, but that seemed like not the case anymore.
Correct. So I think what it is nowadays is it's always based on your concussion symptoms. If you're cleared, the old mentality, okay, you have a little headache, fine, you can play, blurry vision, you know what you're doing type of thing. But I think now it's gotten to the point where the athlete has to be 100% concussion symptom free and no issues whatsoever. They have radiology, stuff like that. And again, we're going back to the whole Tua thing. I think that pretty much has changed everything, at least for this season. We'll see what happens next season.
Yeah, I think they're going back to the old ways next season. Let's get into Tyler Boyd with his hands. He needs those hands to catch those balls, man.
Yeah, so Tyler Boyd, wide receiver with the Cincinnati Bengals, was ruled out before the game. He had a little bit of a hand issue, or at least it categorized as a finger issue. They didn't really identify what it was with the finger. I imagine either has some kind of ligament issue. It was either in the carpal tunnel area. I mean, the carpal bones or anything of that sort. But he didn't play this week. But you're right; he needs those hands to be able to kind of grip the ball, catch the ball, and whatnot. But so I think they felt that he wasn't able to do that, so they ruled him out with enough time before even the game began.
Yeah. Let's go to T. Higgins.
Yeah. So, and this is what I mentioned as far as Tyler Boyd. They had enough time for them to rule him out. So if you had Tyler Boyd, you were able to kind of put him, sit him out and pick somebody else. T. Higgins, on the other hand, he had a hamstring injury They actually took him off the injury report by like Thursday or Friday, so everything was kind of a green light.
Right.
He went ahead and warmed up, and during the warm-ups, he had a little bit of a setback that I think re-aggravated the hamstring, and they pulled him out. So if you had T. Higgins and you weren't paying attention like prior to the game beginning, you probably left him in there. He got locked in as part of your lineup, and then you didn't get any points. But hopefully, you're able to kind of do that. So he has a hamstring injury. Same thing. We've talked about this over.
Right.
Hamstring injuries this year have been notorious for all these athletes. So you're going to probably expect him to be out. And then the fact that it's a setback, now they're going to be a little more cautious with it. So here's the interesting part. He may not be back for another 2-3 weeks. So we'll see what happens.
I was about to say, it sounds like a guy over there with the Chargers. Who was that? That
Keenan
was
Allen.
Keenan Allen. It sounds like a Keenan Allen situation.
Same exactly.
Which means that, if he's in the playoffs, because this is the final week, I probably wouldn't use him.
Correct. And with the Cincinnati Bengals are having some issues as far as with the receiving core. Obviously, Ja'Marr Chase just came back. He actually did well. So Tyler Boyd was out this week. T. Higgins is also out. And their tight end, Hurst, is also out, type of thing. So the only one left standing right now is Ja'Marr Chase. Now, on the other hand, if you have you need to pick up somebody as far as for the Cincinnati Bengals, obviously Joe Mixon is great. But if you had Samaji P. Ryan in there, don't drop him. See if you can still pick him up, because he actually did well. They're utilizing him now more than before. He may not give you full points as Joe Mixon, but he's a great flex position for right now.
Yeah, that's not bad. Definitely not bad. Hey, let's get in and talk about Russell Wilson. He started playing good. Now, is he going to forget how he played? He has a concussion.
So, yeah. So, surprisingly, finally, we saw the Russell Wilson that we were hoping to have, at least the Denver Broncos and Denver Broncos fans were hoping to have in Denver. And this is where John Elway actually kind of spent the money to try to get him. We saw a little bit of vintage Russell Wilson, which he actually rushed for, I think, about 47, 54 yards, which is kind of the first time this season. He threw to Jared Judy, threw for 3 touchdowns type of thing, and then he gets a concussion, and he's out for the rest of the game. Again, like I mentioned, as far as with the concussions, normal average is about 5 to 7 days once they go into the concussion protocol. But like you mentioned, every player is different. So expect him to see if he's out for the upcoming week. It's just a matter of following him throughout the week and see how he does. But yeah, I mean, finally, hopefully he didn't forget this. Not gonna...
Yeah, I mean, he got that 256 million. So
yep.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's go into Mike Boone.
As long as he doesn't forget his PIN number to go.
Right. Yeah. Well, hey, Sierra know that.
Oh yeah, she's got it locked out, so he doesn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, Sierra. I guarantee Sierra
knows his checking account, the PIN number, everything.
Yeah, she knows all that. Mike Boone. The Broncos as a whole, man, all season, it's like everybody's been getting hurt. And you've been advising for the last couple of weeks, not even to stay away from that team.
I mean, overall with the Denver Broncos, it's a funny thing about, with the exception of this week, you just wanted to stay away from any Denver Broncos player the whole entire season except for today. Like today, like I mentioned, Russell Wilson actually played like the vintage Russell Wilson. If you had Jared Judy, you started Jared Judy, he gave you 3 touchdowns because Russell threw all to him, type of thing. So you got a good 20, 22, 24 points from Jared Judy. Russell Wilson actually gave you some solid points before he left the game. But other than that, and then, I mean, as far as Mike Boone, he just came back from an injury. He re-aggravated, has an ankle sprain. He's going to probably be out for a couple of weeks or so. If you were able to pick up Latavius Murray hasn't exploded, hasn't really boomed. He hasn't given you any major solid points, but he'll give you some maybe 10 to 12 to 14 points for the week. He is their workhorse. So if you're in desperate need of a running back, hopefully you were able to pick him up, or if he's still available, make sure you grab him.
All right, let's go into Dameon Pierce, running back for the Houston Texans.
Yeah, so this is going to be something that may hurt a lot of people. Dameon Pierce has been a rookie running back with the Houston Texans. He's been solid this year. If you were able to pick him up and you stashed him on your lineup, he was pretty much a guaranteed starter for the whole entire year, type of thing. He suffered an ankle sprain. He did try to come back, but after a while, he actually pretty much exited the game. So it's just a matter of waiting and seeing how he does throughout the week. If he's able to start practicing by Thursday or Friday, then you'll be able to set to go. The only issue, I don't know when they play, but I know for this upcoming weekend, we have games on Saturdays and Sundays as
Yeah.
well. So it's just a matter of see when he plays and see how soon he's able to return to practice as far as a full go.
Yeah, but we don't know if he walked out with a boot or anything
And
like
as of
that.
right now, there was no indication that he walked out with boots. There was no indication that he walked out with crutches. So that's actually a good sign. So
Okay.
we'll see.
All right. So Tyreek Hill with the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, so Tyreek Hill played Sunday night. He had a little bit of an ankle issue, but the great thing about this is that he actually stayed in the game and he played the whole entire game, so he never left the game. But the issue is still there, so it's just a matter of keeping an eye on him. Everybody expects him to be able to play the upcoming weekend for the first round of the playoffs. But just keep an eye on him. Make sure that there's no setback, there is no aggravation or anything of that sort. But he should be fine for the upcoming week.
Yeah, I mean, that's gonna be like treatment and things like that. Tyreek Hill, I guarantee, is on somebody's team because
for sure,
playing really good. Hope he's probably gonna be in the playoffs. Jeff Wilson with the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, so Jeff Wilson Jr., running back with the Miami Dolphins, left the game with what they categorized as a hip injury or hip issue. They really didn't identify what it was. I'm guessing or assuming there's probably more a little bit of a hip pointer type of thing, issue or injury in the part. It's just a matter of waiting and seeing. Jeff Wilson, when he got traded from the Niners to Miami, he actually played well. It was a little bit of a committee between Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert. If Jeff Wilson doesn't play for for week 15 and you have Raheem Mostert, then Raheem Mostert becomes a lock. Make sure you play him because then he's going to be the workhorse for the Miami Dolphins, and he's actually done well.
Okay, well that means that if you have a good alternate, in that case, right? Daniel Bellinger with his ribs, a tight end for the Giants.
Yeah, so this rookie tight end with the Giants, Daniel Bellinger, left the game. The funny part about it, or not funny part about it, but the thing that sucks about this is that he just also returned from an injury, and he was one of the players that we actually recommended for waiver wire pickups from last week. He's a great tight end, but he had a rib injury. He left the game with the rib injury. Like I mentioned, rib injuries are no joke. That can be very uncomfortable, very painful. It's just a matter of waiting to see how he does throughout the week, if he practices or not, and be able to kind of play him for week 15 for the first round of the playoffs.
All right, let's go with Mike White with the New York Jets. He actually was balling, with the Jets. I think a couple of weeks ago we thought about picking him up as a quarterback.
Yep, about 3 weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago, we recommended him as a waiver wire pickup. He's been playing great ever since he's been in there. If also his receivers, if you had Corey Davis or Garrett Wilson, they've been actually getting great receptions from Mike White. Now he had a rib injury. He left the game, but came back. He was able to finish the game, so he was able to kind of play. So that's actually a good sign that tells us that there's a very good chance that he can play in week 15 or the round one. He did go to the hospital after the game for precaution reasons, just to make sure that there was no significant injuries. So it's just a matter of waiting and seeing. I expect him to probably be out of practice, obviously Tuesday, Wednesday, but hopefully he'll be back at practice by Thursday. If he's a full go by Thursday or Friday, then expect him to play on in the first round of the buys. So just keep an eye on him, but he's been balling.
Yeah. So we got another concussion. Corey Davis over there with the Jets.
Yep, Corey Davis, wide receiver with the New York Jets. He also played well last week. Like I said, once Mike White came in as quarterback, Corey Davis and Garrett Wilson have been have played well, or at least they've been having a lot of reception type of thing. But he left the game also. Same thing. It's just a matter of waiting and see how he produces, how he does.
Right.
Like I mentioned, the average NFL protocol is about 5 to 7 days, but nowadays they're being very overly cautious, or just I don't want to say overly cautious, just cautious type of thing. So I expect
second round playoffs. I mean,
he probably won't be back to the second round playoffs, but it's just a matter of waiting to see how he does throughout the week. If he returns to a full go, now here's the key thing about it: make sure he's a full go, not a limited go. A lot of times you see that the athlete was limited at practice, limited this, limited this. If the player's limited Tuesday, if the player's limited Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, there's a very good chance that he's not playing. If he ends up as a full go by Thursday or Friday, then you expect him to play for that upcoming weekend. So it's just a matter of keeping an eye on him.
All right, Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, so Kenny Pickett also, again, another one. Quarterback with the Pittsburgh Steelers has the same thing, concussion. It's a matter of just trying to see how he does type of thing. Now, Kenny Pickett hasn't played great, but he hasn't played bad. If you had if you had Deontay Johnson or you had Kenny Gibbons as far as receivers on there, he's actually played well with them. You've probably got a couple of points. Trubisky came in for the game when he left out. Trubisky threw 3 interceptions just
Yeah, it's all bad for them.
So not only it's going to hurt Kenny Pickett, but if you have Gibbons or you had Deontay Johnson on your roster, it's going to probably hurt them as well.
All right, so now look, this next guy, this is what fantasy football does for you, right? So I had Brandon Ayuk.
Yep.
And Brandon Ayuk had no points. He had 0. And they kept on throwing to this guy, Deebo Samuel, and I hated to see him go down. But Ayuk, after he went down, Ayuk got a touchdown. And, he started being the one that was catching the ball because Deebo Samuel went down. So it's unfortunate. Let's talk about Deebo Samuel, injury to his leg or ankle. But it actually helped me from a fantasy football standpoint because he started throwing to Ayuk instead of Deebo.
Correct, and this is something that we talked about, I think, a couple of weeks ago with Christian McCaffrey. Same thing.
Right.
If when Christian McCaffrey went to the Niners, he played that first game. He blew up. He gave you like 24 points, 25 points. And I think he had he had a receiving touchdown, a rushing touchdown, a passing touchdown.
Right.
Thing. And then Elijah Mitchell came back from the IR, and then they started sharing touches, and Elijah Mitchell's points kind of went down. But then when Elijah Mitchell got hurt again, all of a sudden McCaffrey became the workhorse again, and then so this is the same case scenario where you're talking about.
Now, because Ayuk had 0.
Correct. Exactly.
He didn't even throw the ball. He was throwing the ball to McCaffrey and Deebo the whole game.
Yep.
And it was going to be a blowout. When you have blowouts, then they kind of started letting off the gas and stuff. And I was like, I ain't got no chance of getting any points. And then all of a sudden, literally, boom. 13 points.
So fortunately, Deebo Samuel suffered a leg/ankle injury type of thing. So as of right now, they've categorized it as a high ankle sprain. Now, the interesting part about this, it kind of sucks, is that he actually tried walking off the field on his own merits type of thing. And unfortunately, he couldn't. He had so much discomfort or so much pain that he actually dropped, and they actually had to eventually bring the cart, which is not a good sign on that part. I saw the video of the injury. The injury could have been even way worse had the player actually completely fallen on his fibula and his leg. He could potentially have fractured it. But the degrees of the ankle sprain that he suffered during the thing, just by looking at the video, it does not look good. Obviously, it's not going to be anything terrible. But expect him out like high ankle sprains. You expect him out anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks, which is pretty much the whole entire playoff, the fantasy football playoff. So if you have Deebo Samuel on your roster and he kind of helped you get into the playoffs, he may, you're not going to be able to utilize him maybe at the championship, but that's slim to none. You need to try to pick up another receiver for that part.
And that's a hard thing because he definitely is a workhorse outside of McCaffrey. Let's go into Tom Brady with his finger.
Yeah, so Tom Brady suffered a finger injury. I think they interviewed him after the game, and he mentioned that he was fine. He didn't do anything part, but unfortunately this year Tom Brady is not the vintage Tom Brady. There's been a few games that he's actually blown up, and he gave you a good amount of points. But other than that, I mean, unless
there are a whole lot of other quarterbacks.
There's a whole lot of the quarterbacks.
All right, Dalton Hilliard, running back for the Titans with his neck.
Yeah, so Dalton Hilliard, he's actually the backup running back to Derrick Henry with the Tennessee Titans type of thing. Now, if you were a Derrick Henry, if Derrick Henry is on your roster, you should have had Dalton Hilliard as your backup, as your handcuff, because Dalton Hilliard is a great running back. When Derrick Henry does get hurt, he will give you the numbers. But unfortunately, he got hurt. He had a neck injury. He suffered the neck injury during special teams tackle type of thing. He actually had to be carted off the field on that part. So this is going to be a little interesting to see how he does throughout the week. Either way, like I said, Dalton Hilliard is just a true handcuff for Derrick Henry. Most people don't play Dalton Hilliard, but now if you have Derrick Henry, you might want to pick up another handcuff for him.
Yeah, definitely. That's it for all the injuries for today. We're going to go and talk about the updates for the last week, so a few weeks back, right after these messages.
Hi, I'm Renee Starms of the Starms Agency. Do you know why 97% of startups fail? It's because they don't have the proper exposure. So, for the first time ever, Infinity Studios and the Starms Agency have come together to provide you with the Little Guys Big Marketing Package. Now, this is for local Los Angeles businesses who are ready to launch, relaunch, or simply expose their business to grow. With this package, you're going to receive 6 months of online and offline marketing tactics in a customized plan for your business. You're also going to get a professional TV quality commercial filmed in an 1,800 square foot studio with multiple screening options. So if you're ready to grow, go ahead and click that link. We also have financing available. I'm looking forward to chat with you. Click the link and let's go.
And we're back. Let's get into the injuries from last week. Hayden Hurst with the Bengals. He had with his calf strain.
Yeah, so Hayden Hurst, tight end for the Cincinnati Bengals, has actually been playing well ever since Jameer Chase kind of went out, type of thing. He was a kind of like one of the core receivers, but he suffered a right calf strain last week. Most calf strains, they really haven't identified whether it's a first or second degree. If it's a first degree, you're looking anywhere between 10 and 14 days. But if it's a second degree, you're looking anywhere between 2 to 4 weeks. But calf strains is very similar to hamstring strains,
right?
Because it's one of the power muscles on the back of the leg. Can be a little deceiving, meaning you can feel good, you go out to try to warm it up, and then you can aggravate it, type of thing.
Right.
So it's just a matter of waiting to see how he participates. I know he didn't participate in practice all last week. It's just a matter of seeing how he does this upcoming week.
All right. Well, let's talk about Lamar and his knee. What are the updates with that?
Yeah, so Lamar Chase has officially been diagnosed with what we call
Lamar Jackson.
I'm sorry, Lamar Jackson, the quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens, has officially been diagnosed with what we call PCL sprain. So PCL is the opposite of the ACL injury. PCL, like I think we talked about this last week. If you recall, Ezekiel Elliott had it last year. He was able to play with it. Dalton Schultz, with it, tight end with the Dallas Cowboys, had it earlier this season. He's actually been playing. He's been playing great, type of thing. But you might want to expect him out for at least 2 to 3 weeks as he rehabs and as some of the discomfort, some of the swelling, some of the symptoms kind of subside, type of thing. So odds are he was out this week 14. Expect him to be out week 1 of first round of the playoffs. So if you had Lamar Jackson on your lineup and he got you to the playoffs, you may not have him for the first round. But if you are in the first or second spot and your league has a first round bye, then you're probably sitting okay, and there's a 50-50 chance that he'll be back for the second round of the playoffs, type of thing. So it's just a matter of waiting and seeing.
I don't know, though. I don't know. He had a strain. I understand that you can play on that, but I don't know if I would put him in, even if he was back starting. You know?
So, see, that's the other question is, do you feel, or maybe if you're Lamar Jackson, that's what Lamar Jackson is probably asking himself. Has he shown enough right now to get the money that he needs or he's going to ask for next year? Or do you feel that he hasn't proven that yet? So does he need to try to take the Baltimore Ravens into the playoffs and far enough into the playoffs for him to be able to kind of say, hey, you know what, here you go. So that's
one way to look at it. My way to look at it, like fantasy football. I need to win my fantasy football. Am I going to play not 100% Lamar Jackson?
Correct. And that's the other thing. So as far as when he comes back round 1, there's a very good chance he's going to become more of a pocket passer quarterback. Now, as we all know, Lamar Jackson, that's not his true identity.
Right.
He can throw the ball, but he's not a true pocket pass quarterback. So he's going to be limited to how much he runs, type of thing. So is he going to give you? So you're right. Am I going to play him? Well, here's the thing. It's a playoffs, round 2. You got Lamar Jackson. Right?
I'm not playing
unless you have Justin Fields, Joe Burrows, Josh Allen on your bench,
Mahomes
or something like that. Unless you have one of those guys on your bench, but the odds of you having Mahomes and Lamar Jackson,
that's pretty scary though. Like I said, I personally, I probably wouldn't risk it. You would.
If so one thing I've always I've always carried one quarterback. I'm
Yeah.
a big one quarterback carry person type of thing. If he's my guy, he's the one I drafted. He's the one I go.
You ride or die.
I ride or die with them.
Got you.
Type
Got
of
you.
thing.
All right, let's get into Cortland Sutton with his hamstring strain.
Yeah, Cortland Sutton, receiver with the Denver Broncos, sustained a hamstring injury last week. He was out this week. He was ruled out early using hamstring injuries, depending on the degree. Like I said, can be anywhere between 2 to 4 weeks. But like we mentioned before, these hamstring injuries can be very tricky. Sometimes you feel good, you kind of go warm up, and you can aggravate it type of thing. So expect him out for at least probably another 2 weeks or so. See how he does type of thing. Jerry Jeudy actually benefited tremendously from him being out. The only downside to it is that Hamler, the other receiver, is also out with the hamstring. Hinton, that took over as far as the backup, he's also out. Now Russell Wilson, their starting quarterback, is also out. So bottom line, just stay away from Denver.
Right.
we preached all year.
Jimmy G. Let's talk about him. He has his foot fracture.
Yeah, so some great positive news on Jimmy G is that they've actually identified that he may not require surgery.
Okay,
I know as the injury happened, they identified he had a Lisfranc fracture. He was going to get surgery right away. So now the reports out there is that he may not require surgery. They're going to go ahead and rehab it type of thing. If that's the case, there's a huge potential that he may be able to come back at the beginning of the NFL playoff season, the NFL, not the fantasy football, NFL.
Okay.
But either way, for fantasy football, he's out for the rest of the season, including the playoffs. Don't expect him back. So if you have him, don't use him, drop him, don't even put him on IR. He's not going to come back for the fantasy football playoffs.
All right, let's get into Kenny Walker, the third running back for the Seahawks.
Yeah, so Seattle Seahawks have had issues with the running backs. Obviously, Rashard Penny went out early in the season. Kenneth Walker kind of stepped in. It was great if you were able to pick him up. He helped you a lot throughout the season, but he did not play this weekend. Homer kind of took over, but he didn't do great this weekend as well. DJ Dallas has also got hurt. So it's just a matter of waiting and seeing. He has an ankle sprain, or actually an ankle strain, not a sprain. A strain is more to the tendon of the muscle, not necessarily to the ligament. So it's just a matter of waiting to see how he does throughout the week and see be able to play. He didn't practice all last week, so hopefully he gets some minutes as far as practice. Hopefully he's able to return to a full go practice this week, so you can use him for the first round. Because like I said, if you had Kenneth Walker, he got you into the playoffs, and you're going to need him for the playoffs. Or if you happen to have like a first round bye, then you're okay. You can wait till the second week. Otherwise, you need him.
Yeah, I feel it. So Treylon Burks, we're around time here. He got a concussion.
Yeah, so
same protocol.
Same protocol. He had a concussion a week ago, so he was out this week, but it probably most likely expect him to come back next week.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get into our waiver wire pickups. Who do you have?
All right. So as usual, I'm gonna give you guys 3 people: a quarterback, a running back, and a wide receiver. So surprisingly, Jared Goff, quarterback with the Detroit Lions, has been playing very well for the last 3-4 weeks. Now that he has all his receivers back, his running backs are back, everybody's back in the lineup. He's surprised he's actually been playing well. So if you're looking for a quarterback, I would highly recommend Jared Goff to be able to pick him up as far as in the waiver wire pickup.
Yeah, that's really, really interesting because I was watching that Detroit game and I'm like, man, Jared Goff, like the Rams kind of gave up on him, and he what's been 4 or 5 games in a row where he's taken them and actually had them go and actually been performing, and then possibly they have a chance to get in the playoffs because of the way he's been playing.
You're right.
So it's really funny, I guess is the best way of saying it. That they swapped quarterbacks, and the Lions were horrible, and the Rams made it to the Super Bowl. Now it's like the reverse thing.
Yep,
it's happening.
Yeah. So Jared Goff is rostered in about 43.9% of the ESPN league. So there's a 50-50 chance he's available in your league. So if you're looking for a quarterback, if you had Lamar Jackson, if you had picked up Huntley type of thing, or even if you had Mike Williams and we're not sure what's happening with Mike Williams, if Jared Goff is available, make sure you pick him up. Like I mentioned, he has his full arsenal with him. All his receivers are back, all his running backs are back, type of thing. So he's actually playing well. And then, staying along with the Detroit Lions, if you're looking for a receiver, DJ Shark, he's had two great weekends in a row, type of thing. He's only rostered, I believe, in 22.6% of the ESPN leagues. He's been playing well. He's a go-to guy for Jared Goff. And if you're looking for a running back, especially if you had Dameon Pierce, You want to try to grab Rex Burkhead because Rex Burkhead kind of came in once Dameon Pierce went out. Rex Burkhead has always been a solid running back. He's not a huge workhorse running back, but he's giving you points, especially if Dameon Pierce does not play.
Okay. Well, look, I have somebody too I want to add to, right? And I love this guy for many reasons. First of all, every time I watch the NFL draft, I always want to see who Mr. Irrelevant is.
Yep.
And in this case, it was Purdy. He was Mr. Irrelevant. You know, like it's the last minute of the draft. You can imagine the whole family by then figuring, hey, we're not going to get drafted. It's over. And then you become the last pick, and then you get a whole parade and stuff in Orange County and all that. And this guy, Garoppolo, you may not have a job anymore. You know, you know. So that's probably why they're trying to figure out how to rehab so you can get back, because this guy Purdy, man, is he's only rushing in 10% of the leads, and he is getting that ball to McCaffrey, to Debo. But Debo did get hurt today, and then Ayuk. So he has all the receivers, and he's getting that ball down there. So I think he scored like 21 points. He's not a bad pickup, you know. And he's only in 10% of the leads.
Correct. No, 100%. He's not that quarterback. He's not going to give you 30 points. He's not going to give you anything above 25 points or something like that. He'll probably give you somewhere between like the 17 and 22 points, like you mentioned.
Right.
He's not going to, you know, he's not the go-to quarterback, but he's got so many weapons around him that his job is just to get them the ball. He doesn't have to try to make that, you know, that great pass to try to get him in there. He doesn't have to scramble. He just, hey, you know what?
He's been doing that. Did you see him today?
You're right, but he has. You're right. A couple of the passes. One of the passes that I saw to McCaffrey that McCaffrey was kind of ruled out because he didn't have the ball, but it was a great pass. And the funny part about it is, I think that pass is that he was ready about to get hit and he launched it straight to McCaffrey. McCaffrey caught it and they ruled it that he was out of bounds, so he didn't have possession of it. But Purdy, he's played well.
Yeah. He's hitting these receivers.
Yeah. He's doing his job as a quarterback.
Yeah, so definitely, like if anyone of you guys out there, I would recommend Purdy if Jared Goff is not available in your leagues.
I agree, 100%.
All right, Marco, that's it for Waiver Wire this week. We want to wish everybody good luck in their playoffs, and we'll be back here next week to talk about some more injuries and updates for you guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. All right, Marco. See you later.
Yep. Good luck.